She's live from this annual Mining Indaba in Cape Town, and Ethos and Dama, role players in the mining industry, come together to exchange ideas, trends and information. Diabo, very, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Leanne. Well, yes, as you've rightly said, that the Mining Indaba begins today. We're expecting around 350 investors to grace this occasion. This is an annual event, Leanne, that takes place obviously every year. And this year it takes place in a very, very different circumstances than we've seen in the previous years. You remember that the Chamber of Mines, or the group of mines, mine companies, and as well as government, have not been seeing eye to eye since that whole the issue of the mining charter was released last year. So it will be very interesting what the minister says at 9 o'clock this morning when he takes to the podium to officially open this Mining Indaba. We have also the issue of mine safety. I'm sure our viewers at home will remember that we had the issue of the 950 mine workers who were trapped underground at Sibanye Still Waters in Welkom last week. I'm expecting that those kind of things are the kind of things that will be shared with the investors when they meet today. Of course, when we look at Africa and we look at how politics also dawns into this whole issue of the Mining Indaba, analysts tell me that the issue that there has been some sort of leadership change within the country, especially within the ANC, is a boost for investors. Also in Zimbabwe, remember that last year by November we also had regime change there in that country, and that they are also looking at propping up their mining industry as well. But to take it a little bit further, Leanne, is our mining analyst, Ms. Mamokgethi Mlepiane. She will give us an insight about what she expects to hear from the minister as well as the stakeholders. Mamokgethi, thank you very much for your time. First of all, this Mining Indaba takes place at at the backdrop that we have mentioned the issue that there'll be issues around the mining charter. Do we expect that these issues can at least be solved? Are you confident?
Well, I am confident that whatever speech that will be given out there by the minister or by those representing government at this gathering will likely say to the industry and the investors, we are getting a house in order. I think it's critical that they get the house in order, they get the mining regulations in order, they finalize mining policy for the better of the South Africa's mining industry, but also so that there is what investors are often saying they want, policy certainty. Now, as to whether the minister will touch on them here, it remains to be seen. But I think the overall mood should be one of saying, we are in this together, we were working to finalize policies, and we hope to have it sorted before the end of the year. I think if the minister approaches this Indaba from a point of being defensive, I think that is not going to sit well with the investors. Equally so, I think the mining industry themselves must come into this gathering, particularly the Chamber of Mines in South Africa, must come into this gathering with an open mind, or willing, by the way, to give the new ANC leadership a chance to establish themselves within the sector.
I want to talk about the issue of the new ANC leadership. We've seen it doing, moving things along. Are you confident that investors at least will take that into heed and at least start putting money into South Africa? It's 12% of GDP that the mining sector contributes, and it desperately does need investment.
It does. I think if you listen to the ANC, the new ANC president at Davos a couple of weeks ago, he was saying we are working to ensure that policy is sorted. South Africa is open for investors, and he's saying we will do everything to ensure that investors coming from outside are seeing South Africa's areas where policy is lacking or where it's still outstanding, are going to see it being finalized. So the tone of language coming from him is of saying, as the new ANC leader, we are trying to get things right, we are trying to finalize things, we are trying to ensure that there is a continuation in terms of finalizing policy. However, we do know that internal politics within the ANC are not as crystal clear as that, and that can often have an impact on how the policies are going to be approached, particularly a mining charter policy, which has been contentious, which, by the way, the ANC discussed at detail at their past Congress in December, conference in December. So it's going to be interesting to see how the new ANC leadership reconfigures the puzzles of the mining policy, but not just in mining, broader national government policy. And I think that for me is the message that must come out.
Mamkgethi, thank you very much for making time to speak to us. I appreciate it. Thank you. That was Mamkgethi Molopiane. She's the mining analyst giving us an insight on what she expects this mining endeavor to touch on, the issue of the mining charter. And of course, we didn't get a chance to talk about the Africa aspect of it. But of course, that will be also part of the agenda. We have the Minister of Mines of Zimbabwe attending and the Minister of Mines of the DRC attending, also of Nigeria. And we will be keeping you up to date with everything that's happening. But for now, let's take a break.